How could a loving God send people to hell? I was talking to an associate, a guy I know, and he had a very good question today. How can a loving God send people to hell? The hard part is that's such a loaded question. It's one of those questions you don't answer, right? It's the hard part about that question is it's loaded with a bunch of assumptions. So we call them presuppositions. And some of the things like, what does good mean? How do you know what good means? Good according to who? How could a good God, how could a loving God? Well, if we're trying to define love by human standards, how are we putting our imperfect human standards and trying to hold a perfect God who's incomprehensible to us, who's higher, greater, stronger, smarter? His ways are not our ways. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. How are we going to put our standards on him? Right? And there's a whole bunch of stuff in that question. Why does God send people to hell? He doesn't. God's not in the business of sending people to hell. It's our own human actions that earn that right, all on our own. The hard part is humans, we don't like to accept responsibility for our actions. We do the sinning. The sinning sends us to hell, right? God's actually in the business of getting people saved. That's why God himself came down as a man, born in the flesh, became a human to die in our place so that we would not have to get the just rewards of our sin, but instead we would get the just rewards that belong only to our perfect Savior, Jesus Christ. So why would a loving God send people to hell? Why would God come down and die in our place to send us to heaven? Is a real question. That's a good question. Once you start asking those kind of questions, you start seeing God's character, his heart, his thoughts, his ways. He's actually very loving, not according to human standards, but according to godly standards. So there's a whole lot in that. I'm going fast, but does this kind of stuff interest you? Do you want to hear answers to tough questions like that? If you want to, I can take that piece by piece and just talk about these things. But I love that kind of questions because when you start thinking through these things, you actually hear God's heart and love for humanity, right? So let me know. Does this interest you? What questions do you have? What are tough questions you've had like this that we can talk through? Just know I'm praying for you. Hope you have a great night.